She served coffee without ever smiling, even when people cracked jokes or tried to lighten her day. But one night, a tired single dad asked her a simple question: "Why don't you ever smile?" Her answer didn't just break him, it changed both their lives forever. Backhand index pointing right. If this story moves you, please like this video and subscribe to Kindness Stories for more emotional journeys. Your support helps us keep telling stories that matter. It was a Thursday night in downtown Austin, Texas. The diner's red neon sign buzzed faintly against the light drizzle that soaked the cracked sidewalks. Inside, the warmth of clinking dishes and the smell of grilled cheese and bitter coffee offered comfort to the few weary souls scattered in booths. One of them was Ethan Blake, a 38-year-old single dad with shadows under his eyes and drywall dust on his flannel shirt. His 6-year-old daughter, Lily, was curled up beside him with her head on his arm, drifting off after a long day tagging along at construction sites. Their server, a 24-year-old waitress named Rachel, had been serving table after table in the same tired green apron, her ponytail loose, her sneakers worn thin. She moved like someone sleepwalking through a storm, efficient but distant. Never smiling. Never making eye contact. Just there, like part of the diner furniture. Ethan had noticed her for weeks. Every Thursday he came in with Lily for their daddy-daughter grilled cheese night. Every Thursday, Rachel brought them their order, scribbled their check silently, and walked away like a ghost with no story. But tonight felt heavier. Maybe it was the way she clutched the coffee pot or the subtle tremble in her hands. Maybe it was the way she paused just a little too long when Ethan said, "Thank you." Something inside him whispered, "Ask." When Lily finally fell asleep on the booth seat, Ethan gently adjusted her jacket and looked up as Rachel came over to refill his mug. "Hey," he said softly, his voice careful not to wake Lily. "Can I ask you something?" Rachel blinked. Her hand froze mid-pour. Sure. Why don't you ever smile?" Ethan asked, his eyes honest, no judgment. "You've been serving me and my little girl for months. I don't think I've ever seen you smile once." Rachel's body tensed. She looked down, swallowed hard. "I'm sorry," she said quietly, "I'll try to do better." No, Ethan shook his head quickly. "That's not what I meant. I'm just wondering if you're okay. You always seem sad. And you shouldn't have to carry that alone." Rachel stepped back, blinking quickly like she was trying to hold something back. Her hands were shaking now. The coffee didn't get poured. I'll be right back." She turned and practically fled to the kitchen. Ethan felt a knot twist in his stomach. He wasn't trying to hurt her, just connect. He sighed, sipping his half-cold coffee, thinking maybe he should have just kept quiet. 10 minutes passed. Then 15. When Rachel finally returned, her eyes were red and puffy. She placed a piece of paper gently beside his coffee cup and whispered, "I'm sorry. I can't talk about it out loud. But if you really want to know, this is the truth." She walked away before he could say anything. Ethan unfolded the paper slowly. Her handwriting was messy, hurried. But what he read made his throat tighten. "Dear stranger. I haven't smiled in over a year, not because I don't want to, but because it feels wrong. Last October, I lost my baby boy. He was 6 months old. His name was Noah. He had my nose and his father's eyes. His father, James, left me when I got pregnant. I worked 2 jobs, gave up college, lived in a shelter until I could afford this tiny apartment and a crib from Goodwill. Noah had the brightest laugh. He used to kick his little feet every time I sang off-key. One night, I came home from my shift here and found him not breathing in his sleep. They said it was SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome. No one knows why it happens. Just, gone. My world ended that night. I haven't smiled since, because every time I try, I feel like I'm betraying him. Like I'm moving on. Like I'm leaving him behind. But, thank you. For asking. For seeing me. Most people don't. Ethan stared at the letter. His hand trembled as he folded it slowly. He looked over at Rachel, who was wiping a counter, her back to him. And suddenly, the weight of her silence made sense. The brokenness. The invisible wound. He stood up, gently scooped Lily into his arms, and walked over to the counter. "Rachel," he said softly. She turned, surprised. "Can I hug you?" he asked. "Not to fix anything, just so you know you're not alone." Her eyes welled up again, and she nodded. He put Lily down gently and wrapped his arms around her. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't even particularly warm. But it was human. It was a moment that reminded them both that grief didn't have to be silent. "Thank you," she whispered, finally resting her head on his shoulder. 3 weeks had passed since the note. Rachel hadn't expected to see Ethan again. Most customers wouldn't have returned after something that heavy. But Thursday night came, and there they were, Ethan and Lily, back at their booth, sharing grilled cheese and a milkshake with 2 straws. Rachel approached carefully, not sure how things would feel now that her heart had been laid bare. But as she walked up to the table, Lily beamed up at her. "Hi, Miss Rachel," the little girl chirped. "Guess what? Daddy says we can leave you a big tip today." Rachel chuckled softly. It caught her off guard, how easy that small laugh came. Ethan looked up, eyes warm. "You look different," he said. Rachel tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. "Do I?" He nodded. "You laughed. That's a start." Rachel smiled, just a little one. And this time, it didn't feel like betrayal. It felt like a thread connecting her to the world again. "Thank you," she said, almost shyly. "For asking. For caring. You know, most people run from grief like it's contagious." Ethan stirred his coffee. "I think grief is love that has nowhere to go. It doesn't go away, you just learn how to carry it." Their eyes met. Something unspoken passed between them. Not romance. Not yet. But maybe, trust. Weeks turned into months. Ethan kept coming. Sometimes with Lily. Sometimes just for coffee. Sometimes just to check in on her. He never pushed her to smile again. He never asked her to move on. But with time, she did smile more often. Small ones at first. Then real ones, when Lily told jokes, when Ethan showed her photos of the silly mistakes he made at work, when regulars complimented her new haircut. One cold night, Ethan brought in a small photo frame. "This is for you," he said. Rachel opened it slowly. It was a photo of Noah, her baby, carefully printed and placed behind glass. Ethan had found it on her old social media, printed it at the drugstore, and added the words beneath it in elegant handwriting, "He mattered." Rachel burst into tears. No one's ever done something like this for him," she whispered. "He matters to me now too," Ethan said gently. "Because you do." From that night on, she placed the frame on the shelf behind the counter. It sat beside the napkins and ketchup bottles, a silent reminder that grief shared is grief halved. Eventually, Thursday nights became dinner at Ethan's place. Then playdates with Lily turned into weekend picnics. And before long, what began as a simple question in a diner grew into something deeper. A friendship. A healing. A chance at life after loss. Rachel would never forget Noah. But she also stopped being afraid to smile. Because now she knew, smiling didn't mean forgetting. It meant honoring him by living. Sometimes, the quietest people carry the loudest pain. All it takes is one kind soul to ask a question that changes everything. If this story moved you, Please like the video and subscribe to Kindness Stories. Let's keep spreading compassion, one story at a time. Red Heart.